So just one day after mentioning on my last video that I wish I had more non-Nintendo news to talk about on a regular basis, I was granted a gift of sorts in some news that I just had to get out and discuss with you guys today. We're talking about something so near and dear to my heart that I couldn't let it go. We're talking about Star Wars, and specifically Star Wars Battlefront. Okay, so we have a really crazy story going on today. If you've heard me talk about Star Wars Battlefront, or Star Wars in general, you know that Star Wars is my thing. It's probably the most important kind of nerd or genre-related property of all the different things, whether we're talking about video games, movies, books, comics, whatever. Star Wars is my jam. It's my number one motivator. And through that, I, of course, have always loved the Battlefront series, and we know what happened over the last couple of years when George Lucas retired. Lucasfilm was sold to be owned by Disney. Through that, Lucas had put in place a brand new trilogy, which began with Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Through that, LucasArts was shut down by Disney and Lucasfilm. And then, of course, Star Wars video game rights went to Electronic Arts for the next 10 or so odd years, and we're now a couple of years into that. And we all know that the first game that they've released, and the only one so far, has been Star Wars Battlefront, which came out last November, about a month before The Force Awakens came out. I've talked about it. I love the game. Star Wars Battlefront, the one that we've been given by Electronic Arts, it's not what it should have been. They canceled the original Battlefront 3, if I can even air quote, 3, that was supposed to come out for the 360 and PS3 years ago. They canceled that and made this new version, and it's a good game. I enjoy it so much. There are problems, there are things that I wish it had that it didn't. I wish it was Battlefront 3 and not this new one, but it stands as a good, solid game, and it's like the best graphics I'd ever seen, and it feels like that original trilogy, and that's so cool and so much fun. However, going back to the point about Battlefront 3, what's important to get out in this whole scenario is that, again, Battlefront 3, which was being developed by either Free Radical or Pandemic, one of those two studios was the main studio behind the Battlefront series, and I'm actually forgetting which one. But I think it was I feel like it was Pandemic. Regardless, Battlefront 3 was being made for the 360 and PS3, and some leaked footage came out, at some point, and it looked fantastic. Battlefronts 1 and 2 were so great and so well loved by fans and gamers, myself included. Battlefront has always existed in this world where they kind of threw the rules out the window. It wasn't really part of the story. It was just, here's all the elements of all the Star Wars movies, which at that time was only the 6, and we just put it all together. And you could have Boba Fett or Darth Vader or Count Dooku or Darth Maul, Anakin, Luke, all these characters show up together on the same battlefield. You got stormtroopers and clone troopers. You're going to Tatooine and Bespin, and you're also going to Naboo and Kamino, and you're mixing all of what made all of the movies great into one game. Well, into those first two games, and it was fantastic. Everyone loved them. And it was announced that Battlefront 3 had been canceled 2010 or 11 or so, and the studio behind it was shutting down, and suddenly our dreams were dashed, and we were not going to get the Battlefront 3 that we wanted. Then we had the announcements I talked about at the beginning of the video when EA took the Star Wars licensing rights, and they announced that, hey, we're bringing Battlefront back, and that was super exciting. Turns out that it's not the Battlefront 3 that we were promised and we were hoping for. It was instead this game where they're trying to kind of force it into the canon of Star Wars, which is neat, but doesn't really belong in Battlefront, I don't think. And it takes place basically during the original trilogy, and that's all we get. So it's all original trilogy focused. It's just original trilogy characters, heroes, and villains. It's only the stormtroopers and the Empire, and it's only those locations and weapons and stuff, with a few exceptions there are some weapons and some power-ups that are pulled from the prequel era, which is cool, but it's an original trilogy game because they're trying to make it happen within the canon. And there's even a book that's kind of written around the same time, too, of the new canon. And so, I've always been so torn on that. It's like, well, it's neat that you did that. I mean, the original trilogy is the best trilogy of all time, so I love that. But this isn't its own game. This is Battlefront. And I feel like EA sort of had a responsibility to deliver on what Battlefront is supposed to be, which is don't make it canon. Don't put it in a timeline. Just make it a mishmash, whatever, anything goes kind of scenario. Put all the shit together in one game and just make it happen, only with these new systems and new power. And it would have been so great, and they gave us this Battlefront. So, and there's been a lot of fans who have been disappointed with that. While I love the game as a Star Wars game, I am very disappointed oh my god, I can't even speak. I'm very disappointed because it's not the Battlefront 3 that we wanted. And that's what I wanted, is all this prequel stuff and original trilogy stuff together. They had these DLC problems. The season pass was very disappointing to a lot of people. They even confirmed that they left some stuff out just to get the game out by the time Episode 7 was coming out. Big surprise. And instead of releasing that later for free, they instead are charging DLC prices for it, which is just kind of ridiculous. You know, and a couple of other things. It's simple shooting mechanics. It's made people very, very upset in a lot of ways. People, for the most part, are very disappointed with that game. So, through that comes this studio known as Frontwire Studios, which is a newer studio built up of some teams that were working it for Pandemic or Free Radical. They were kind of working on Battlefront 3 at the time, and they started their own fan-made Battlefront project, which has been called Galaxy in Turmoil. And that game, Galaxy in Turmoil, from Frontwire Studios, is actually the resurrected and revived Battlefront 3 that was canceled. And over this last year, they've been showing a bunch of updates of everything that they're working on, all these assets that they're reviving from that canceled game, and it's great. We've got clone troopers. They're on Naboo. They're using, these spaceships and stuff. I can't even. Oh my god, I can't speak, you guys. I'm so sorry. Like Naboo starfighters and all these things that are actually from the prequels that are mixed in with all these other stuff they're showing from the original trilogy, like the Slave One. Even though the Slave One was in Episode 2, but still, the Slave One and Stormtroopers and all these other great things. It just was what I'm trying to get at. Is it was the Star Wars Battlefront 3 that we were always wanting. A lot of us fans were expecting, with space battles, with single-player offline content, all these things that this new Battlefront doesn't have. It's only online, there's no space battles, all these different issues. And it was exciting to see what they were doing. It was a fan-made project using actual assets that were, at one point part of LucasArts and Lucasfilm to make Battlefront 3, and they were never going to charge for it. That was the big thing. It was a fan project. It was not sanctioned by EA or Lucasfilm. They were just like, we're just going to make this and we're just going to put it out on PC and people can download or access it, and it's free. We're not asking for any money. We just want to show off our talent and show off our love for Star Wars and for Battlefront. I was so excited, you guys. I was following every move that Frontwire was making. I never talked about it on the channel, but oh my gosh, was I excited. And, it looked great. About a month and a half ago, they worked out a deal with Valve to have Valve publish and release it on Steam, make it available for free on Steam. And people were always wondering and worrying, hey, is EA probably going to shut you down because it's not an officially licensed game? It wasn't called Star Wars Galaxy in Turmoil. It was just Galaxy in Turmoil. They did not reference anything Star Wars outwardly. And people were like, man, are you going to get shut down? What's the case? And they always said, hey, we're going to keep working on this until someone stops us. They were so dedicated and devoted. The guys at Frontwire have been amazing with this, so positive, interacting with the fan community. It was so cool. And they're like, we're just going to work on it until someone shuts us down, and if they shut us down, we'll try to figure something out at that time. They really believed in that. Well, finally, the shutdown, the ban hammer, so to speak, has finally come down on those guys, unfortunately. And today it was announced that Electronic Arts has put the kibosh on the game. And as it stands, as we know right now, Frontwire Studios' Galaxy in Turmoil is not happening. And man, I think that really, really sucks. So here are some of the details to actually kind of get the story out to you guys and why I'm so into talking about it, why I'm so frustrated by this. Apparently what had happened is they were contacted, I guess, a couple of weeks ago by Lucasfilm to say, hey, this is a non-licensed game. And this is all tracked. The president of Frontwire has been talking about this and made blog posts and Twitter posts about it. So this is all fact. And I guess they were contacted by Lucasfilm, say, hey, this isn't a licensed game. We haven't given you permission. Please stop making it. And apparently the guys from Frontwire reached out to Lucasfilm and said, hey, we'd like to set up a meeting and discuss with you a way to make this work out for everybody. We don't want to stop making this game. Lucasfilm, and they said they did not expect to hear anything from them and actually get a meeting set up. However, Lucasfilm did absolutely meet with the Frontwire Studios guys to discuss the game, which is awesome. Way to go, Lucasfilm. And apparently they reached some sort of agreement where the folks at Lucasfilm said, ultimately, we would like to figure out a way to make this happen. I guess Frontwire was willing to put the game behind Electronic Arts' paywall, or make it something where everyone is kind of involved and everyone wins and the game gets to be released and it's not infringing on EA or any of these things. And Lucasfilm was definitely willing to find a way to make that work. They were all about it. They supported the idea of this game and what the studio was doing. How freaking awesome. However, what happened was Lucasfilm, and I don't know who was actually talking from the respective companies, by the way, so I'm just referring to them as Frontwire and Lucasfilm. The folks at Lucasfilm basically said, the problem is we have a contract with Electronic Arts and we can't infringe on that by allowing you to do this game. So Electronic Arts has to be involved with this and they have to give their okay, and we have to make a decision with the three entities, all of us together. When they reached out to Electronic Arts basically said absolutely no way. According to the details from Frontwire Studios themselves, which I believe. Basically, EA said, nope, we're not going to deal with that. We're not going to even acknowledge you or acknowledge this game. And they didn't want any attention being taken away from their Battlefront with this game. And so basically, as it stands right now, the wall that has been hit is Electronic Arts themselves basically not acknowledging them and saying, no way, this game cannot continue to exist for free for fans, or even in a way that they could actually have it work with Electronic Arts, and even Electronic Arts could make money off of it. They said no way. And god damn it, that pisses me off. Electronic Arts, that is the most stupid, irresponsible, offensive, and ignorant stance I think that you guys could have. I mean, maybe this changes over the course of the next few weeks, but based on what's happened, I am so frustrated and upset with Electronic Arts. I mean, to me, it just tells me that Electronic Arts realizes that this other studio is making the game that people actually want. Yes, Battlefront sold really well, and because I like the game, I'm happy for that. But I mean, let's get down to business. It's not the game people wanted. There's no single-player content. There's no prequel or Clone Wars era content. There's not even new trilogy content except for one level that was DLC down the road. And it's like, I think I said, it's online only. There's no space battles. I mean, there's so many things it's doing wrong. This game, Galaxy and Turmoil, was the game that people wanted. And I think EA was afraid of that. That's all I can assume, EA, is that you guys were afraid of this better looking game that fans wanted more and deserved more, that was going to be complete. And you didn't want to have anything to do with it. You didn't want that getting out there because you didn't want the good version, the better version, I should say, of Battlefront coming out that you guys were incapable of making. That's the way I see it. And that is just that, especially when they were willing to work with you in Lucasfilm, the entity that should just own you guys outright, Electronic Arts. Lucasfilm was okay with it, but you guys couldn't be okay with it. That is just so frustrating to me. Galaxy and Turmoil was made by people who understand what Battlefront is supposed to be, not Star Wars, because EA did a great job emulating the Star Wars experience with Battlefront. It's the number one thing that they knocked out of the park. They knew how to do one trilogy correctly, and they did it fantastically. But Galaxy and Turmoil was made by folks who understand not just Star Wars, but they understand Battlefront. And I don't know why, EA, you guys showed that you weren't capable of understanding Battlefront. That was just, oh man, it's so frustrating. But Galaxy and Turmoil was going to be that game, and I think that we deserve that. I myself, as a fan who's supported Star Wars and the first two Battlefront games and all these different things, I feel like I deserved Battlefront 3. And I feel like I deserved to have this free version of Galaxy and Turmoil come out. I've already supported Battlefront. EA, your Battlefront. I have done that. I've done my part. I still play it to this day. There's issues with it, like I said, but I still enjoy it. But this game was the game that I feel like I was waiting for. And I was so excited that there was a company and a collection of people and fans out there that knew how to make the game that we wanted and we deserved. And I think it's really offensive that EA has basically declined to work with them on this. And like I said, maybe this changes soon. I doubt it will. Maybe it will. And if it does, I'll update and make another video about it at that time. Apparently, from what I understand, Frontwire Studios wants to take a lot of their assets and use it to move it over into a new project and to create a completely 100% original game that's made by Frontwire that's still going to be, based on the foundation of what their Galaxy and Turmoil game was. And in that respect, I mean, that's great for you guys, Frontwire. I definitely want you to make your own content, and I'm excited for what your game is going to be. You deserve to be able to make that. But it sucks that Galaxy and Turmoil was shut down, and for the worst, stupid reasons. Like, if Lucasfilm and EA were both against it, I guess I'd understand, but Lucasfilm was on board. I mean, it's stupid that this contract allows for, like, the granddaddy of these companies to say it's okay, but then this other mid-tier EA company, they're the ones that have the right to say, no, we don't want that to exist. That's just so, I hate the law sometimes, it's so frustrating. So, I'm holding on to hope that either Galaxy and Turmoil finds a way to still make it out and EA can get on board and pull their heads out of their asses, or that EA's planned Battlefront 2, which should be Battlefront 4, but whatever, that their Battlefront 2 that I guess is planned for next year. They've talked about a little bit at EA that they're going to include all these things that they know fans have been asking for. So to me, that means prequel content, okay? That's what we want. EA, pay attention. We want space battles. We want good offline content, not this skirmish stuff you did that you released as a patch recently. That was so lame. Not what I was expecting. We want offline content, single player stuff. We want prequel content. We want stuff from the new movies as well. I want Anakin and Luke and Kylo Ren on the battlefield at one freaking time. Give me Darth Maul and Rey on the battlefield at one time. You should be able to do that. That's what Battlefront is supposed to be. So, and maybe that's what Battlefront 2 is going to be. They've said that that's what they plan on doing. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I hope it turns out to be that way. EA, I hope you show me that you can give us the Battlefront game that we've been waiting for and that I feel like myself and other Star Wars fans deserve. I hope that you can do that. But how you've treated Frontwire Studios in this news today, which is all fresh news, like I said, it may change, but as of right now, the fresh news says you guys were dicks, and Frontwire Studios deserves to be able to make their game, and we deserve to have it to play. So anyway, that's my long-winded, very passionate thoughts about Star Wars Battlefront, Electronic Arts, Frontwire, what they've been doing. With any luck, this sorts itself out soon. EA, I'd love to get back on board with you. I think I love you as a studio and a developer. I just hate your business practices sometimes, and I really hate how you treated Frontwire and Galaxy and Turmoil today. So, I don't know. That's what's going on, guys. I really want to hear you talk about this. I don't know how much my audience really gets into this kind of conversation and this topic, but I really hope a lot of you guys watch this, check it out, get the message out over what happened. It's so important to me that this game, or some kind of quality Battlefront, the way it's supposed to be, some kind of game like that actually gets made, and that EA can just not be this tyrannical overlord that's stopping the good stuff from getting out there, or not making the games in the Star Wars universe that we should be having. So tell me what you guys think about this. Did I open your eyes to this information? Have you been following it as well? Do you side with Electronic Arts? Do you side with Frontwire and myself? What do you guys think about this crazy stuff? Get this information, share this video out. Let's make it known what EA has done and try to get some more support for Frontwire out there, because I think that they really need it, you guys. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in, as always, today, guys. This is Robert with the Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.